everybody, welcome back to Taji's World of Books and welcome to another book recommendation video. Hey you guys, so welcome back. So today I am going to be talking about Virgin Heroes from some of my favorite authors, some books that I really love. These are probably all books that you have heard of from me before, but I just want to compile them all together in a video that really gives you steam and spice and everything nice and dark and paranormal virgin hero guys that are going to be turned out by their partners. So anyway, without further ado, let's talk about them. Okay, so these are in no particular order, but these are some of the books that I sort of came up with that I was just like, yeah, if I'm going to compile a video about virgin dudes that I just want to, I want to eat them up, this is all that. Okay. So the first book that I want to talk about is Hurt by Lydia Michaels. I'm not going to go into really great detail. I have 10 books on this list, so I want to get into them, get you the recommendations so you guys can go and check them out. So this is a revenge plot. This is about a fighter named Colum, his best friend Reese, and sister Inez. So Colum, Reese, Inez, and then we are introduced at some point later in the story to Emery. And so he is a fighter. It's set in the UK, and Colum is supporting his sister Inez and his younger brother Gavin. And his best friend Reese sort of sets up all of like the fight bouts for him. So he is approached, Reese and Colum are approached by a rival gang, pretty much, that basically are going to pay him to throw a fight. And Colum is like, no, I'm not going to do that. He's like, I'm not going to, no, I fight for me and I fight for my family, and so I'm not going to throw the fight. And so he refuses to take the money. And obviously this infuriates the rival gang, and they burn down his home and kill his sister. So the story then fast forwards from there, and you are then introduced to Emery. And Emery is sweet, innocent, and delicate. And Colin is damaged, broken, and is a merciless killer that now lives in the U.S. and works as a bartender in a hotel. And the story ensues from there. There are some serious trigger warnings in here. There is, you need to check out the trigger warnings and take them seriously because this is intense. Some of the things that happen and go down in this story, but I think it is a 5 out of 5. I absolutely love the relationship that develops. I love the relationship between Emery and Colin. And Colin, like I said, is a virgin hero because he has focused so much of his time and attention on raising his family and his siblings. And after his siblings die, then he is focused on healing and recovery and trying to get past this. So this book so much speaks to PTSD and trauma and recovery and depression and rage and anger, and it gives all the vibes. I have a live show that Charles from Books on Stereo and I did a review of this book. It's live now over on Charles's channel. I'll link it down below if you're interested in hearing a deep dive into this book. It's a 5 out of 5 star for sure. It's not very spicy, you know, in that sense. There's not a lot of spice to it, and I'm okay with that, but it is pretty angsty. It's a 4 on the angst scale, but it's overall a 5 rating, and it is amazing, and it just trumps everything else. Lydia Michaels, Hurt. So it's been a while since I read Tillie Cole's Raze and Reap, and you know, from what I remember of this, this is about the Russian Bratva, and the story that we're going to talk about in here, the virgin hero, is Raze. And so this is about the Russian Bratva, and he is taken prisoner, taken hostage, and he is taken to like a work camp, basically a prison where he lost his identity because he's been taken as a very young child. And he's lost his identity, doesn't know who he is, barely speaks, is tatted to all heaven, and he is conditioned to be a killer as part of the Russian Bratva. So, and he's he's made to be basically like a weapon of like mass destruction, if you will. And so all he knows is that he's 818 because 818 is what's tattooed on his body, and so he doesn't know anything more about that, but he does know that he needs to get revenge. So again, this is a revenge plot. He breaks out of prison because some other things happen, and as a result of him breaking out of prison, he goes on his mission to seek revenge when he comes upon this really beautiful woman whom he finds. Her name is Kisa, and he's a homeless guy at this point, and she really feels moved to help him and to protect him, but she really doesn't know why. They have this insatiable pull, and so the story sort of unfolds from there. And when you want to talk about, he is dangerous to everyone else, and he will destroy anybody else that comes in his path. But Kisa, if anybody ever touches her or ever gets anywhere close to her, he will destroy you just for even looking at her wrong. So it's like amazing, and it gives you, you know, an introduction into the world of the Bratva. There are like 4 books in this series. They're all really interesting. They follow a different broken and scarred hero. So this is definitely a damaged and scarred hero that follows trauma and PTSD and all of those things. And each book ends in an HEA, but there is an ongoing plot and development, as well as there are cameo appearances from all of the characters that you meet over here in Raze. And this is a compilation of Raze and Reap. And so it's an amazing story. It gives you all the Tillie Cole vibes. Definitely trigger warnings. Check them out. Be prepared. You know, read sensibly and all that stuff. But it is worth it. It is a 4 out of 5 star. I would say it's actually a 5 out of 5 star. It's really, really good. And it's definitely worth checking out. So then I am going to go over to old school and go to Lover Enshrined by J.R. Ward. And so this is about the Black Dagger Brotherhood. This particular, there are 2 brothers. There's Fury, and then there is also Zadist. And I believe that, did I put Zadist? Because I could have put Zadist on this list too. But this particular story, you need to make sure you read these books in order, because each book has a happily ever after, and each book is a story about a particular couple, but there definitely is a crescendo of a plot developing with the Lessers and the Black Dagger Brotherhood. So you need to know what's going on with all of those characters. People haven't talked about this often. J.R. Ward delivers in the paranormal romance department. This is an amazing, amazing story, and this particular book is about Fury, and Fury has sacrificed himself for the good of the race, and he is becoming a male that's worthwhile and responsible, but he has never taken a woman for his own. There is a chosen named Cormia that he has, you know, sort of come in contact with and really finds an insatiable attraction that's deep in the storyline. But Fury, if anybody deserves a happily ever after and deserves to have a female companion that loves and cherishes him, it is definitely Zadist and Fury. The twins have gone through hell and high water in terms of torture and, you know, separation and longing, and just really have gone through so much. And so Zadist's story is earlier. He is also a virgin hero, and then Fury has dedicated his life to protect and help save Zadist from torture and imprisonment and all of these things. And once they discover that Fury takes the position that he is in this world, then he is given the chosen Cormier, and so now he has to develop a relationship with her, but he has to figure out how to do that, and he's never had to, and so he has no idea how to even go about doing that. And this is a 5 out of 5 star. It's an amazing story. I love the Black Dagger Brotherhood. It's an ongoing series that I think JR is probably going to be writing in this world forever, and I don't care. I'll pick up every book, even though the more that I read in this kind of world and read dark romances and all these things, J.R. Ward's writing definitely harkens back to the early 2000s, and it still hasn't really evolved. She's still writing in that way, but you know, for a throwback, like, I don't care. Like, even if it was just released, I'm still going to read it because I just am loyal and dedicated like that, and I absolutely love her. So that is Lover Enshrined. I have mentioned Shay Savage, the Transcendence book. There's also a novella to this as well that gives the other side of Elizabeth's story. This is a time travel caveman romance. Basically, Elizabeth finds herself, she's in a museum, she's with her friend, she's walking through and reading about the display, and for whatever reason, she finds herself fallen and in a trap, and she has no idea how she's gotten there and where she is. And Ed has been deserted by his family because of a fire that happened that destroyed his entire village and all his people, and so he is left by himself. He finds Elizabeth in one of the traps that he set, and he believes that, like, she's his woman and she's set there for him, and so he is going to take her and he's going to take her back to her cave, and like the entire book is written from Ed's point of view. It is all like in his head, trying to figure out and decipher Elizabeth, the strange creature's clothing, her strange actions, her strange behavior, and he's trying to sort it out. And he doesn't really understand her, but he's trying his best, and all he wants to do is like love his mate and give her like a happy life and have children with her. And Elizabeth is like, I am not from this time. I'm trying to figure out how I've gotten here. I don't even understand what this means and what this is all about. And so it's their story. And when I say true love, soulmates, fated mates, it is an amazing story. And if you have not read this, do not sleep on this story. It is so amazing and so wonderful. And I loved every aspect of it. I was there for every minute. It is so good, because it's just a really well told story, and that's Transcendence. And how could I not include Outlander, Diana Gabaldon? And if you guys don't know this story, I think you're living under a rock. Between the show and the books that have been around forever and ever and ever, this is the story of Claire is trying to rekindle her relationship with Frank after the war, and so they decide to go to the Scottish Highlands for a second honeymoon and a vacation, because they have just now gotten back together after being apart from each other for several years due to the war. And whilst there in Inverness, she goes up to the stones at Craignadoon, and she falls through the stones, and she finds herself in the 18th century, or in 1743 in the Scottish Highlands, after being in 1945. And so she is trying to figure out how she's gotten there, and she is set upon by Captain Jack Black. She is also set upon by Scottish Highlanders, and among the Highlanders is James Fraser of Fraser's Ridge. And the story sort of ensues from there, and she is forced to marry James Fraser because they need to keep her safe from Jack Black, because Jack is after her, and the story really evolves from there, and it's amazing and wonderful and all of those things. And the wedding night is just amazing, because she clearly has been married to Frank Randall for quite some time, who is a distant ancestor of Captain Jack Black. And so on that night when they get married, and Jamie reveals that he has been saving himself for his wife, and so they have to not only get to know each other and get comfortable and have conversations, but also she has to show him the ropes. And it's just written so well and so wonderful, and it's so swoony and so amazing, and I absolutely love this book. It is so good. I love the TV show. Very different animal than the book, but that's a different conversation for a whole nother bottle of wine, so we'll talk about that at a different time. But for this, Jamie is an amazing virginal hero that you would love to take home to mama. Okay, so the next story that I want to mention, and not a lot of people talk about Sherrilyn Kenyon, and I love Sherrilyn Kenyon. I love all of the books. I have pretty much everything that she's written. I've read them all. I absolutely love them. This is a story of a shifter named Ren Terragan, and Ren and his partner Marguerite. And to make a long story short, this is part of her Dark Hunter series. And so there are, like, in the Dark Hunter series, there's like, I don't know, like 30 something. She's just like the Black Dagger Brotherhood. There's like 30 something books. She's been writing in this world forever and ever and ever. And so Ren basically is an orphan. He has no clan to claim him. He's grown into an adulthood. He's closely scrutinized, very mistrusted, because he is the forbidden blend of a snow leopard and a white tiger. And that means that he has a very volatile temper. And in this world, like, first of all, the cat clans or the cat groups are already volatile to begin with, but when you combine those two, it makes them extra volatile. And so he meets Marguerite, and Marguerite is the daughter, of a U.S. senator. And she comes from, her mother has very deep-rooted Cajun roots in the Louisiana area. They come together, and she does not know that she is a were hunter, and so she starts to, but he can smell it on her, so she starts to evolve and to become what she is going to become, and it is powerful and crazy. And Ren is, even though he kind of presents like as an autistic guy, that he's on the autism spectrum, because he's so isolated, and so he's got long shaggy hair, it covers his face, you can't really see him, you can't really make out who he is, he's quiet, he's off to himself. But as you get to know him, he's got a complicated backstory and a tremendous future coming forward, and the fact that Margarita even gives him the time of day is phenomenal. But at the same time, it's really well worth it, because once Ren comes out of his shell, he is so swoony and so amazing, and he is just an amazing character that we see cameos in other books as well. And so this is definitely, Unleash the Night is an amazing, amazing story. But again, you need to read in order, because the Dark Hunters each book has a follows a particular couple. It also has an HEA that happens at the end, but there is an ongoing story and a plot that's developing. She's still writing in this world, and this particular book, Unleash the Night, is like, 15 books in. So definitely check out, if you, I don't think it can be read as a standalone, but people can do whatever they want. But Ren is an amazing virgin hero, and I think that you will enjoy him as much as I did. So if you haven't checked out Sherrilyn Kenyon, you absolutely should. Okay, so you guys know I've just recently done a deep dive again and reread all of Cressy Cole's Immortals After Dark. This is Dark Skye. This is book 14. This is about Lanthe, the Queen of Persuasion. She is a sorceress. She's the sister of Sabine. And Thronos, he is a reckoner. He's considered the Prince of Skye, or the Knight of the Reckoners. The Reckoners are basically the angels, but they're more akin to demons than they are to angels, but their kingdom is in the sky. And so basically this is a revenge plot, if you will. It starts off like that because as children, Lanthe and Thronos were very, very good friends, and he knew from the very beginning that she was his mate. She did not believe, because she didn't feel quite the same way as he did, that she was the mate, but she was. And a misunderstanding happens, and Lanthe thinks that Thronos has deceived her and lied to her, and so she's gonna make him pay. And as a result, because she's the Queen of Persuasion, she persuades him to jump off a cliff and not open his wings, so he is damaged for life as a result of this, and he vows that he is going to make her pay. What happens as a result is, as the story sort of unfolds, there's some things that happen, and they are held prison in this prison that's made for the lore kind, and they're being experimented on. And when they escape, he takes her captive, and he is going to make her pay in many, many ways for all the damage that she has done to him. And as a result of time and they're spent together, the story comes out of what really happened, and the truth prevails and things evolve, and it is an amazing story, and it is an overall 5, an angst of a 5, and a spice of a 3. Really good story. The next book is Demon from the Dark. This is book 9. This is about a V-man named Malcolm Slain and a witch called Caro. Caro the incarcerated, and Malcolm Slain, he is the leader of the Throne Rebellion. And so he is in a different realm, and Caro has been charged and basically forced to go through a portal, find Malcolm, because Malcolm is a V-man. That means he's a vampire and a demon. He was forced and created that way against his will. And because he was created that way against his will, he hates vampires, and he's not real thrilled with demons either. And he is more powerful than both. What we learn about Malcolm when Caro goes over to the demon realm to abduct him, or to convince him to come back because they want one of his species so that they can experiment on him, she learns that he was abused as a child and used by vampires as a sex slave as well as a blood slave. And so he is a very damaged and broken hero. He only speaks demonish. He doesn't speak English. He remembers it, but he remembers it as the language of the highborn vampires and wants nothing to do with it. He is so damaged and scarred, and he can't even, engage in a healthy sexual relationship because he's been so abused as a child. But she is determined that they are going to embark on a healthy sexual relationship, and she is very promiscuous and has had sexual encounters with multiple people, doesn't really think much of it. So they are on very opposite ends of the spectrum, much like I didn't say with Lanthe and Thronos. Thronos is absolutely been holding out for his fated mate, who is Lanthe, and Lanthe has engaged in all kinds of sexual behavior all over the place, and so she is being judged negatively by Thronos about it, because Thronos and the Skye Angels, basically the Reckoners, are very high-handed and very very judgmental about how they view what is appropriate and what's not, and Lanthe bucks up against that. And over here, Caro just is living her life. She's living her best life, doing her thing. But once she meets Malcolm, she feels twisted and torn about having to deceive him and bring him over, but she has her reasons why she has to do that, which are revealed in this book. This is one of my favorite books in the series because I love a broken hero, I love a scarred hero, I love a damaged hero. It's just, it gets to my heart in all the right places. And so this overall is a 5, the angst of a 4, and spice of a 4. The next book that I want to talk about is Dark Desires After Dusk. This is book 5. This is Holly, who is a human. She's a PhD student, and Kenyon Woed. He is second in line to the throne of the Rage Demons. His brother's name is Rydstrom. He is the king. And in this story, the sort of lore and the accession and everything is evolving and developing, and chess pieces are being moved into their respective places, and we have, you know, sort of a aligning of the two factions of good versus evil, if you will, the good lore and the bad lore. And Kenyon has to kidnap Holly because there is a threat against her life, and he knows that Holly is his mate, and she's been his mate for quite a long time, but he's not going to claim her because he is a demon and she is a human, and the claiming is a process by which a demon has to attempt his female, and attempting is having sex with her, and if he's able to break the demon seal and release semen, then he knows that that is his fated mate, but that would kill a human, and so he cannot do it. But once he finds out that her life is in danger, he says, fuck it, I'm gonna go and get her, and he goes and gets her right before she's gonna be assaulted, and he basically takes her on a mission, and he's supposed to be taking her to a particular location and to meet his brother, but his brother is kidnapped by Sabine, the sorceress, and she takes him off and is going to torture him. So Kenyon is left to his own devices and has to decide between his mate and his significant other. And even though Kenyon has a fierce reputation of being a womanizer and a ladies' man, he has been saving himself for his particular mate, and that is why we've made it to this list. So this is an overall 5, a spice of a 4, and an angst of a 4. The next book that I want to talk about is No Rest for the Wicked. This is about Sebastian Roth and Katerin the Cold-Hearted. Katerin is a Valkyrie. This is an enemies to lovers story, and Sebastian Roth is the brother to Nikolai. He is one of the 4 Roth brothers. He was turned into a vampire against his will by his brother Nikolai. Because he is so upset about that, he goes off and lives in isolation and has no contact with the outside world. Katerin the Cold-Hearted is a Valkyrie. Valkyries are very akin to like shield maidens, basically, like, you know, like, right, shield maidens. And so she competes in a tournament called the Talisman's High every year, and she is going off to compete in a Talisman's High, but right before she leaves, she says, you know what, I got one job to do. I'm going to get paid to kill this vampire. She is very ruthless. She wears vampire teeth on her necklace of the 1,000 vampires that she killed, and she didn't give a shit. She's just ruthless. And she enters this house and she encounters Sebastian, and through a successive series of events, she bloods him. Blooding is a process by which a vampire's heart starts to pump and their blood starts to flow and they come to life again, and that is how they know that they have met their fated mate. And Katerin is like, oh hell no, I am not your fated mate, I'm out. She can't bring herself to kill him. She doesn't understand why she can't do that. I don't know why that doesn't clue her that this is her mate, but she is like, no, I am not. So she's going to incapacitate him. She's going to take off to the Talisman's High. And Sebastian is like, not so fast. You're not getting out of my sight that easy. I am going to track you down because I am a tracker and I'm a warlord and I'm old and talented. I'm going to find your ass. And that's what he does. He tracks her down. He finds her. He enters the Talisman's High and he ties himself to her. And he's like, if we're going to work together, I'm going to help you get what you need, even though you say you don't need me, but I know you do. And so let's work together and figure this out. And then I'm going to prove to you why I am the perfect person for you. And he does that in so many ways. And so overall, this is a 5. Spice-wise, this is a 4. And angst-wise, it is 4. Very, very good. And the last book in the series the story that I want to talk about is Tillie Cole, and this is Souls Unfractured. And man, oh man, this is about Flame and Maddie. And so Flame is a damaged brother. We learned that he was abused significantly as a child. We don't know that going into the story. This is another one of those books that has an ongoing plot and an arc and a character development, but each book has an HEA, and you have multiple cameos from multiple characters throughout the series, so you can see what's happening with them. But in this, prior to this, we just know that Flame is like cutting himself, and he's drawing blood, and his cock is always hard, and we're like, what the hell? Like, he's cutting and checking these girls. I don't know what's going on. Flame, something's up with Flame. Flame's a mess. Well, we learned because they have rescued these girls that have been captured or held hostage in this cult that when they rescue, they call them the cult girls. When they rescue the cult girls, and one of them is very damaged, and her name is Maddie, and she doesn't talk to anybody, and she's very isolated and very pure, and just, she struggles a great deal. And the only person she feels safe with is Flame. And everybody else around them is like, Flame is a danger to Maddie, because Maddie is fragile and broken, and Flame is a twisted fuck. And we got to keep them apart. But she keeps gravitating towards Flame, and Flame, she's like the moth to the flame, and Flame is so damaged. She's the only one that really truly can tame him and can help to curtail that behavior, and she does it in so many ways. And when we find out the type of abuse that this guy has gone through, you need to check out the trigger warnings. It is amazing that they are even able to embark on any kind of intimate relationship at all, because it was horrific what he has experienced. But this is a beautiful story. Lots of trigger warnings, lots of PTSD, lots of OCD, lots of abuse, lots of everything. But how two broken people can come together and create something so beautiful and so gorgeous and find love in such damage is just absolutely amazing. So if you have not read the Hades Hangman series by Tillie Cole, please go get it on your Kindle, check it out. It's so amazing. It's an ongoing series. She's still writing in this world. Viking's book is coming out sometime probably in 2022, probably latter part of 2022, and we're all looking forward to it. It's going to be an amazing, amazing ride, so hang in and buckle up your seats. And this is a 5 out of 5, an angst out of a 5, and I think the spice is probably more like a 3, you know, because of everything that like he's gone through, and we would expect it to be nonetheless. So having said that, you guys, that is all that I have for today. I really hope that you love my Virgin Heroes. I think that some of you have probably already read these books, but other ones you may not have, so please check them out. I think that you'll really enjoy them as much as I have. And do me a favor, hit that bell notification button so you can be notified every time I upload a new video, which is generally Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Hit that like button. You guys have been hitting me up, and it has helped me tremendously. I love it. So please hit that like button because it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. And that is all that I have for today, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye, guys!